Okay, hello and welcome to Live at Epiphan. We're here in the Epiphan studio every Thursday afternoon at 3 o'clock, and I'm your co-host, Dan.
I'm George, and I guess this is episode 14.
Yes, it is. Episode 14. This is very exciting.
Yeah.
We've got a great topic for today. Maybe you can tell us what we're going to be chatting about.
Yeah, so today's topic surrounds the new Epiphan Webcaster X2, which is a new product launch from Epiphan. And what we wanted to focus on today was talking about how you might use such a device to go mobile, ultra mobile if you want, in terms of using cell signals for data and how you might power your various devices. And we did some really interesting experiments, so we wanted to share that with you today.
So going mobile, you might even say going on the road?
On the road? Yeah, exactly. That's always a challenge when you're dealing with any sort of video production is what do you do when you're out of the studio? How do you tackle those challenges? There are very unique challenges between in studio and on the road. And Webcaster is a tool that's suited for both tasks and how you accomplish that. So again, that's what we wanted to cover today. I guess, we'll dive in.
Why don't we start by talking about the Webcaster X2, because this is a new product. We just launched it at Infocom last week, actually. There's a lot of buzz around it.
Yeah, there actually was a lot. So hopefully some of you saw those live streams we did from Infocom in Orlando last week. We did one specifically about the Webcaster. We had some media and journalists come in and borrow the Webcaster for their own streams, which was very cool to work with them. But what is Webcaster? Well, I mean, this is it. It is a small hardware encoder specifically for social media streaming, YouTube Live or Facebook Live. And you have your HDMI input to come from any HDMI video signal, typically a camera, but it doesn't have to be. And it does all of the capture, compression, encoding, and sending it directly to those platforms. So you don't need software, you just have this little hardware box. And that's what makes the portability of it cool.
So what's different from Webcaster X1? Why is this next generation device better? Is it worth upgrading? Is this something that people should consider checking out if they already have used the Webcaster original?
That's a great question, and I think both of us got that question a lot last week at Infocom. Physically, it's smaller, a little lighter, which is kind of nice. But for me, and I think one of the purposes of this discussion today, is that the power consumption of this device is different than the first generation X1. That actually lends itself to being more portable. There are some other things on here as well that is a bit different. Under the hood, it is more powerful, so there are some more potential things we can do with the device going forward. One of the things for anyone who gets one of these, when you're messing around in the menus, you might see this little checkbox that says beta feature. That one is specifically purely a beta feature at the moment, but to be able to use a secondary video input from USB, particularly a USB webcam. So that's something that right now is strictly beta, and I when you have one of these, if you choose to use that's your choice. But that's a possible option that we will have.
That's very cool.
Later on.
And can I add also, if it's possible to use a USB webcam, then perhaps it may be possible to use one of our grabbers?
I won't say yes or no to that because
right?
That we have not even tried yet. But again, with a more powerful platform, we have things we can do there, right? There's opportunity to look at different features and different possibilities. The X1 was fairly limited. It was pretty much maxed out of the gate. One of the big key features there was that the X1 platform for both Facebook and YouTube was limited to a maximum of 720p. Now, in Facebook's case, that's all their live streaming supports anyways, but in YouTube's case, YouTube can do higher than that. With the X2, you can do as high as 1080 with YouTube. So, that, again, more power, more potential, a few different options there.
I mean, another thing that I noticed right away is that we've got this great Wi-Fi antenna, which you can't miss.
Yeah, it's kind of obvious. Right, and the X1, the Facebook version did not have that. And I guess that also points out that in the X1, we had two different hardware devices, one for each platform. With the X2, as the name might suggest, both platforms on one device. So regardless of which one you want to use, or maybe you use one day and another the other day, you can have one device to do both. So that's an added bonus.
So I've had the pleasure of testing this a little bit and playing with it, and I've got to say this is incredibly easy to use. Like, I was impressed just by, I didn't even need to plug in an external monitor to get this thing going. It showed me the display code right on the screen. I entered that into my web browser, and I was paired my Facebook account, and I was streaming within 5 minutes.
Or less in some cases. Definitely.
One button press to start going.
To start, stop, or switch modes between Facebook or YouTube. So that button helps to get things going.
Yeah, I was impressed by how easy this was to use. I could put this probably into anyone's hands and feel confident that they would be able to get up and streaming very quickly.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
is nice.
And that's really the idea, right? I guess our tagline for it from a marketing perspective is, the easiest way to do social media streaming. But that didn't just come out of nowhere. That is really the point. And I guess the bulk of the topic here was on the road, going mobile. And so why might you want to do that? Well, there's a lot of reasons. And we've done some tests this week. I guess 3 different tests, just kind of playing with different ideas in different ways, different kit. But it all focuses around running Webcaster X2 off of some sort of mobile power source, having different cameras, different combinations of things. The primary way that we can do that, and actually this got asked in a live stream that we did yesterday as a test, was what's the power capabilities, or what's the power draw from a Webcaster X2? Well, it uses 5 volt at about 2 amps, a little under is its actual draw, which means that you can use 5 volt batteries, or basically the same kind of batteries you would use to top up your cell phone. Now, there's a couple caveats there. You want to make sure that you have the capacity to run it for the amount of time of your event, but also the amperage output from these devices.
So what do you have here? Why don't you show me?
Yeah.
So these are just, the same batteries that you use to charge your cell phone on the go?
Right. Both of these are higher capacity ones. This one is 11,000 milliamp hours, which is a moderate sized one. The biggest advantage it has is multiple USB ports. So if you have more than one device, for example, Webcaster would occupy one port, you might have a GoPro powered off of one of the others, things like that.
Very cool.
So the multiple ports help. Obviously, that draws the battery faster. But that one is someone that one of my coworkers got for free, right? So it's, these are not uncommon or difficult to get things.
I've gotten a bunch of these in swag bags at events, right, and they're really, they're affordable, right?
Exactly. Well, this one we did purchase. This is an Anker, and they make some very, very high quality ones. This one, although similar in size, is twice the capacity. So this is a 20,000 mAh battery.
So with 20,000 milliamp hours, if I was running a Webcaster X2 off of that battery, if you had to guess, what would you say, how long could we be running for?
You could probably be running the Webcaster alone for probably about 8 hours off of
Okay,
this.
wow. So you could go all day.
Yeah, this has 2 USB ports, so you could actually run a couple of devices. We had, yesterday during our experiment, we had a small USB-powered monitor as well as the Webcaster running off of this for several hours.
That's cool.
And so, there's a lot of cool things you can do to mix into that. And the little monitors, most people would mount them to their DSLR for a larger display.
Right.
You could hook up the same kind of thing if it's 5 volt powered off of this. So, those are what we were using for our tests. Again, the Anker one, you can pick these up on Amazon for $40-50. They're not a big investment, and it's going to give you tons of power. They do have smaller ones as well.
So why don't we talk a little bit about why you'd want to take the Webcaster mobile?
Right.
A lot of people who are doing mobile live streaming are just using maybe their cell phones. So
and I guess last week...
What's the advantage here?
Yeah, last week we talked to a lot of people who said, right now we have someone standing in the back of a room with an iPad doing a Facebook live stream. Well, I think the big advantage, obviously, is with an HDMI input, we could be using any camera or even the output from a video mixer switcher that has HDMI. And that gives us a whole world of possibilities. It even could be coming from a computer, right? If we need to share that type of content, we can easily throw that in there. Some of our tests, we used a Canon G20 Handycam. We used the Canon C100 that we often use here in the studio. We've used GoPros, the Hero 5 in particular. All of those work great with the Webcaster, and there's a variety of reasons why you might choose one over the other. So I think you have some clips of some of the things we did.
Yeah, sure. Why don't we play a little bit of it? We can talk about it.
And talk about that a little deeper.
Well, we had been talking a lot about content creators, and a lot of content creators already have invested in quality, cameras, whether it's GoPros or Canon, glass. A lot of people already have invested in quality capture equipment, and then they're falling back on their cell phones when they want to do live streams. So it's nice to be able to use that equipment. And here you are actually at the motorcycle meetup.
Yeah, this was at Motosocial, which is an event that happens in several cities across Canada. The one here the other day was in Ottawa. And so we had exactly the kit I described, this battery, the Webcaster, and we actually took the C100 on the back of my motorcycle down there, which was a bit bulky, but it's still possible. And then the day before, I was actually in a park just outside downtown Ottawa. You can't quite see it in the shot, but just off to the left there is the Parliament buildings as well as the Prime Minister's residence. But I just threw that in my backpack that I always carry on my motorcycle with the Canon G20, the Webcaster, and the battery, and I was able to do a live stream from there. It really is that simple. I had it prepared to my Facebook account. I had it prepared to my cell phone as a Wi-Fi hotspot. So all I had to do was unpack my kit, plug in a couple cables, push the start button, and I was live. I mean, you can't really get simpler than that.
Yeah, I mean, you can fit all of this in a backpack and you're ready to broadcast to the world from anywhere, really.
Exactly. And again, obviously a GoPro would be even smaller. The Handycam size obviously gives you a lot of advantages from an image quality perspective, better control over things like white balance and all these other things that the video nerds will obviously obsess about. Mm-hmm. But that's powerful setup, just that.
Why don't we take a look at the example that we did yesterday?
Yeah.
So this is just outside of our offices here.
Yeah, hopefully some people caught this live yesterday. We kind of just decided we wanted to run another test, literally walking around with it as opposed to more stationary. So we just, a couple seconds, grabbed the kit, ran out the door into what is a big field outside of our offices, basically a big park, and just shot this. I mean, it took us no time to get going on this. It was
this kind of quality, you can't get a shot like this on a cell phone, I gotta say, because being a camera guy myself, that large sensor size, that quality XLR microphone input, we still don't have that on a cell phone. So for me, what I see here is like the production value is just raised. It's raising the bar on the quality of the shots that you can get, the quality of the lenses on your camera, the quality of your microphone audio, and all of those little differences start to add up, and it really, it shows in the quality of the shot that you can do. And it's so impressive just to see it moving and to see it live on the go, right?
Yeah, and I'm not a camera guy like you are, but even just what we did on Tuesday night at the Motosocial versus what we did yesterday afternoon, you just had, part of it is, as soon as we walked outside, it still had the settings from the night before, which was at dusk, and right away, like, whoa, I got to play with the aperture, right? Because it was totally different. And sure, cell phones do that automatically, but the manual control is, and I was wearing a lav here and the night before, that connected through the C100 gives you really high quality audio that you can, fine tune and manipulate. I know every time I've shot video on a cell phone, all I get is wind noise.
Yeah.
Right. And there's nothing you can do about that. Where you can filter some of that out with a proper microphone, proper positioning, better equipment. So those are the big things, for sure.
The other thing I've noticed with a cell phone is my cell phone battery is always struggling to stay alive. So if you have a longer event, or maybe you want to be getting content all throughout the day, if you're streaming live from your cell phone all day, that's going to kill your battery pretty quickly, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, it's funny, in that shot that we just had up on that live stream, and definitely, guys, go check that out on our Facebook page. You can see my colleague, Other George. He actually has a Sony Alpha 6300, is it? Around his neck, where he was taking some pictures of us. But we've used that camera as well. So that's more of a micro 4/3 size. So, again, so many options when you start talking about HDMI. So yeah, some good stuff there. So if you guys have any questions about going mobile using X2 or just mobile streaming in general, put them in the comments. Obviously, we can address those. Send us an email, live@epiphan.com, and we can answer those. But yeah, I mean, simple stuff, off-the-shelf stuff, nothing crazy. Even the cable that we use, keep in mind, we don't include the USB power cable with X2, but it is an item you can buy off the shelf for about $4 or $5 from just about anybody. So again, nothing special about what we did. Very, very simple and straightforward. Webcaster is available now on our website for pre-order. Shipping will start very soon. And probably one of the best parts about Webcaster X2 is it's a very low entry cost to get this stuff going. The list retail price is $299.95 US. And I mean, a cell phone costs $1,000.
Yeah, exactly. So, you can save the extra $700 and put that into a camera.
Exactly.
Right?
And have something better at the end of the day.
That's really cool. And you don't have to be over, a cell phone's LTE. You can connect with Ethernet. You can go Wi-Fi.
Yeah, use a venue's Wi-Fi.
You've got many different options for connectivity.
Yeah.
Now, as you can see behind us, it's starting to get late. We don't have much time left in the day, but I know we wanted to play just very quickly a little game talking about some different people. We talked to lots of people at InfoComm last week about how they wanted to use the Webcaster X2, and I think we have a few examples here that we might pull out.
The return of the bucket.
Okay, here's a question. Does Webcaster X2 work for slow TV broadcasts, like from the bow of a cruise ship?
So my understanding of slow TV is essentially long stretches of real-time broadcasting. It's a whole new day.
It's a new morning.
So yes, I mean, you can do a continuous broadcast from a Webcaster X2. Keeping in mind that the two platforms it integrates with do not convert streams to video on demand if they're over 4 hours. So if you're doing an 8-hour stream, can X2 do it? Absolutely, but you're not going to get a VOD out of it.
Got it.
I just pulled another question here. How would I use X2 to stream from an event space? That's a good one for you. That's perfect.
Yeah, that's a great question. So actually, I'm really looking forward to taking this to some events here in town. We have an event here locally called the Creative Mornings, and I know it's actually in many locations across North America. So it's like a morning breakfast meetup with creative types. And actually, right now, they're shooting it and putting those recordings online for people to watch afterwards. Wouldn't it be nice to just augment the existing camera setup with this? Really, it doesn't require too much setup. Plug in your HDMI, plug in your power source, sync to the account, and boom.
So they already have some sort of HDMI switching infrastructure?
Exactly. And
so you just take the output.
Exactly. So all we have to do is grab an output. And the other nice thing I would say about using this for an event is it's online right away. You don't have to unload your SD card onto your camera, run it through Premiere. It's online and ready to watch instantly. So it just eliminates that whole extra step where, as far as transferring those video files to a computer.
Well, that's a big one.
I'm an artist. I paint urban cityscapes and want to stream while painting live at an outdoor location somewhere in the city. Can Webcaster X2 live stream me painting from anywhere to 5 to 8 hours at a time? Is that possible?
Well, yeah, I think we've basically already covered that. I mean, the point of the show, talking about powering things mobile, if you have a large enough battery, again, you can get ones even bigger than this. We talked about this maybe running 8 hours. You could get one twice the size of this and keep going, right? So it's a matter of power as well as we mentioned, it won't convert to VOD in that length. But yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to grab one more here, and then maybe we'll move on. Why would you go mobile with an X2 and stream live if you run a food truck? You know what? In one of our first episodes, we talked about exactly that. There's this guy in Europe who has a little camera running in his food truck late at night, and he just live streams it. Now, I suspect he started for security because he serves a late night crowd in a downtown area, and I think any major city in the world, a late night crowd, downtown, food truck, they're going to be intoxicated. So I'm sure he started doing it for security, and he just started live streaming because why not? It's so easy. And then you get content out of it. You get viewers. You may be a source of revenue if you want to have some fun with it. You can make fun of particularly bad customers if you're a business owner. Online shaming, if you want to call it that, or whatever.
But wouldn't it just be cool also to see your friends on the food truck cam?
Well,
you
exactly.
call somebody.
Oh, that was me.
It's like an extra little perk of using that vendor, right?
Yeah.
That might be fun and might create some interesting interactions. So, I mean, why not? That's a great idea. Food trucks. Who knew? Why live streaming food trucks?
So those are some of the questions that we had gathered from around the office. We did have a few more, but we're running a bit short on time. If you guys have questions, please submit them, and we'll address them. I think that's pretty much it for today. We kind of mentioned a little bit.
We do have a question in from Facebook. Why don't we just answer? Can X2's beta USB port be used to local archive to a portable hard drive?
No, and you covered this a little bit in terms of one of the key features of doing live streaming to both of these platforms. Local recording is unnecessary because the live stream under 4 hours automatically converts to VOD on both platforms. Your recording is done for you, I guess, in the cloud, if you want to call it that.
So it's almost like YouTube becomes your PVR, if you will.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
You could pull it down from YouTube very easily afterwards if you needed to, right?
You can even do some editing. If you want to trim it up afterwards on YouTube, you can do that very easily using their built-in online tools, which means you don't have to have special software or anything like that or know much about it. It's really easy. So it eliminates the need for that. It eliminates the need for you, I forgot to push record.
I guess the other thing you could do is, like, maybe you don't want to live stream to an audience, but you just want to live stream to somewhere on YouTube that is private, unlisted, if you will.
Which is great for testing. Highly recommended to test, to explore your setup, make sure you fully understand it.
Yeah, exactly. So, make a private Facebook page that you can stream to, and just keep your recordings for yourself. You don't even have to have it doesn't have to be for an audience necessarily.
Well, you could set the privacy settings even for your timeline for Facebook on Webcaster itself. You could set it to only me and change that privacy later if you want. So if you weren't sure you liked it, you could do it only me, change the privacy later, and open it up public. So Facebook has some cool tools like that you can do.
That's super cool. So yeah, just another way that you could implement Webcaster X2.
Exactly.
We're interested to hear how you might want to use Webcaster X2, so please don't hesitate to email us your questions. It's live@epiphan.com. We're going to be here every single Thursday at 3 o'clock, so come say hello and join us here in the studio.
What's our next week's topic?
So next week we're going to be looking at some examples of how to live stream different sized events. So summertime, there's a lot of big events happening out around the world this time of year. I know here in Canada, we've got Canada Day coming up, 4th of July. There's going to be fireworks, events, lots of festivities.
Yep.
Maybe you want to live stream something. Maybe you want to take a GoPro out there and do a mobile live stream. We'd love to hear what you plan on live streaming or shooting and what events you're going to be attending this summer. So
go into more detail on where you might use Webcaster versus maybe Pearl 2, which we do for this show, which has a new feature launching very soon built into a firmware update that's coming, which is chroma keying. We talked about that last week, and we're using it right now. Or are we? I know. We're actually on the road. We're in the middle of the desert.
We're on the road, yeah. This is not a chroma key behind us.
Different size events would leverage those types of features differently, so that's going to be discussed next week. As always, give us a like, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and all the other social-y things, and send us your questions and comments, and we'd be happy to answer those. For now, I'm George.
I'm Dan.
Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.